always leave those meetings with a real sense of purpose and optimism. Are you all right, Mrs. Russell?
Oh, yes, thank you. Why'd you ask?
Usually you have so much to say. But this morning, hardly a word.
It's nothing. It's my husband. I think he's done something terrible.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
For some time I've suspected that he's been keeping something from me, and now I know what it is.
Oh, I see.
He's smuggling immigrants into the country. Illegal immigrants.
Do you?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I do not know, Mr. Russell, granted. I'm surprised that he would do such a thing.
Well, I do know him. And now that I'm over the initial shock, I'm not so surprised. He was trying to make a quick buck, both for his beer money. I should have taken the scenic route.
I'm sorry?
To the meeting. Then I wouldn't have seen him. I'd been none the wiser.
Well, ignorance is not always bliss.
What would you do, Mrs. Tenby, if you were married to Gary? I know. You wouldn't be married to someone like him. You have much better taste. Reverend Clement was a lovely, decent man.
Yes, no doubt he still is.
Maybe I should have found myself a nice vicar. Gary and me, we haven't seen eye to eye. Not for a long time. That doesn't mean that I want to see him behind bars.
Oh, no, of course not. Perhaps you two should discuss the matter before it gets any worse.
A discussion? We haven't had one of those in years.
And he admitted it.
Shameful he was. Just told me to keep my nose out.
And he's doing this on a regular basis?
Yes, I think so.
But what possessed him to take such a risk?
Well, money, of course. What else?
You know, back in Botswana, I had a friend from Zimbabwe, Mrs. Moyo. Your life there is much harder. Many live in great poverty and fear. One day, Mrs. Moyo's cousin went missing when he was a young man. He had no wife, no children. Well, she feared he was dead. And then one day, she received a phone call. He was safe and well and living in France, illegally. The people who had organized his journey in several vehicles and across many borders, well, no doubt they were criminals or racketeers. And yet, he claimed to have paid them nothing. He believes that they were not motivated by greed, but by compassion.
You're suggesting that Gary's some kind of bleeding heart missionary?
I couldn't say. I'm just merely suggesting that the situation, well, it is complicated.
Well, Gary isn't complicated. He's a typical bloke. Reads trashy tabloids, likes a drink and a gamble. I know you meant well, Mrs. Tenby, but when you told me to discuss it with Gary, I shouldn't have listened to you. Now I'm implicated. The police might accuse me of being an accessory.
Well, no, I doubt that.
I'm withholding evidence, as are you. That's a criminal offence, isn't it? Gary's given us no choice. We need to inform the police.
Is it your truck?
Dunno. Is it?
So says the DVLA. The guy walking away, do you recognise him?
Why, has he done something wrong?
Might have. Do you know his name?
Not sure. Could be any number of people. What's this all about?
Your job. It takes you to mainland Europe several times a week, is that right?
Yeah, 3 times a week normally. I'm on nights at the moment.
Do you always travel alone?
No. I've got a truckload of camembert to keep me company. Now, if you'll excuse me, officer, I need to get some more shut-eye before my next trip.
You're going nowhere, Mr. Russell, until you answer my questions.
You're barking up the wrong tree.
OK, well, let's go down the station and set the record straight.
Otherwise what? You'll arrest me?
Yeah. If I have to.
What's she doing here? You selling tickets, are you?
I do not wish to intrude, but your wife insisted.
Mrs. Temby's provided great solace and moral support.
Where's the vicar? In the cupboard under the stairs.
Perhaps some time apart will be good for both of you.
Well, lends new meaning to a trial separation.
Well, thank you for the tea.
They let you go?
Of course.
How come?
No need to sound so pleased. I've told you about him. You always disapproved of my friends. They're banned from the house.
I don't have anything in common with your drinking buddies. They can be very coarse.
Well, they are housebroken, even if they're not refined like you. The pub and the truck, they're the only places I can be myself. Now you want to take that away from me too.
I didn't say that.
Well, those long journeys must be very tiring. No doubt a companion it stops you from falling asleep at the wheel.
That's right. Thank you, Mrs. Temby.
I'd like to meet him. Your mysterious friend.
Abassi?
Yeah, Abassi.
Why do you want to meet him?
I'm curious. Doesn't seem your usual sort. Can't think what the two of you have in common.
Why? Because he's black?
No, because he's half your age. What on earth do the two of you talk about?
Anything, everything, same as in the pub.
Well, why don't you invite him here? For a cup of tea?
What now?
Yeah. Now.
Thanks for dropping by. Come and meet the wife.
Oh, wife.
It's good to meet you, Mrs. Russell.
I am Mrs. Temby. Here it is lovely to meet you.
Please, take a seat.
You got time for a cuppa?
Yeah, just about. You're a lucky woman, Mrs. Russell. Gary is a wise and decent man.
If that's the case, you must know him better than me. Where are you from?
Lagos, in Nigeria. But I came to the UK when I was very young.
Legally?
Mrs. Russell.
Yes, legally. My aunt had already settled here.
And what of your parents?
It's complicated. Thanks. I never knew my father. And my mother, she died when I was a year old. I lived in a foster home for a while. Until my auntie adopted me. She's always been my guardian angel.
I see. And how did your mother pass away?
I do not think these questions are appropriate.
It's okay. I don't mind talking about it. My mother had HIV, then AIDS.
How awful. And what about you? Did she pass the disease on to you?
For pity's sake. I didn't invite Abassi here just so you can insult him.
I was born with HIV. Nobody expected me to reach my teens. But now, the drugs are much better. They keep it under control.
Did you know about this?
Yes, I did.
And you're happy being cooped up for long periods of time, breathing in his diseased air?
Enough of your bile. Not only you're rude, you're pig ignorant.
Don't be so politically correct. It's common sense, isn't it?
I agree with your husband. Your words do not befit a Christian.
Oh, and because you've had Reverend Clement's blessing, that makes you holier than thou.
Goodbye. I wish you both the best of luck.
Sorry you had to hear that.
It's okay. I'll see you at the Saracens when you're up to it.
Maybe I did speak out of turn. It's just that I was concerned for your health. What are you looking for?
A good solicitor.
Solicitor? Why?
I'm doing something I should have done years ago. Filing for divorce.